All right, welcome in everybody. Ready for a deep dive. Today we're doing something a little different, focusing on something you might not always consciously think about, but it's always there. It's sound, specifically how brands are using it.
Yeah, and we're diving deep with 42 Sounds, a company all about, well, what they call strategic audio branding. We've got info from their website, some thoughts from the founder, Christoph Gross-Fengels.
So, mission for this deep dive, understanding why sound is becoming so crucial for brands, what challenges they're facing with all this, and how, get this, AI is changing the game.
Yeah, this is all about you getting up to speed on a huge trend, one that's changing how brands, well, they're connecting with us, and on a much deeper level than you might think.
All right, so sound and branding. I bet you're thinking jingles, right? Like the old school stuff.
Right, but it's way more than that now.
I agree.
42 Sounds talks about how sound, well, it can kind of slip past our conscious filters. It goes straight for the emotions, makes memories that stick.
That's interesting, isn't it? Like, think about a song that takes you right back to a specific time.
Exactly, and that's what smart brands are using now. They're realizing this power of sound to make you feel a certain way, and that feeling, it stays with you.
It's not just a hunch either. 42 sounds, they've got stats, and they're pretty convincing. They say a good audio branding strategy can boost brand loyalty, like way up by almost 46%.
Think about that, almost half of people more loyal just because of how a brand sounds.
Plus, they say music in stores, it can actually make people buy more stuff. They found people spend almost 20% more time in stores with music playing. So this isn't just about making a catchy tune, it's affecting sales, the bottom line.
It makes sense when you think about it. We've always focused so much on what brands look like, with the logos and colors and all that. But sound, it's like this whole other dimension of branding that we're only now starting to really understand.
For sure, it's like creating a sonic identity, right? An audio fingerprint for a brand, just as recognizable as their logo. And they give some great examples too, like Netflix.
Yeah, that ta-dum sound, you know it right away. That's intentional. That's sound branding in action. Or MasterCard, they've got their sonic logo, and they're using it to make people think of trust and reliability.
And of course, there's McDonald's that, "Ba-da-ba-ba-ba, I'm loving a jingle." You can't forget that, right?
These aren't accidents. These are all carefully chosen sounds designed to make you feel a certain way about a brand. Netflix wants excitement. MasterCard wants trust. McDonald's wants, I guess they want you to crave a burger.
Exactly, it's all strategic. But as more brands catch on to this whole sound thing, the information from 42 Sounds also points out, well, some challenges. It's not as simple as it used to be.
Yeah, think about it, right? There's so much content now, all over the place on different platforms in different languages.
And it's got to be consistent, recognizable. I mean, imagine trying to manage all that
It
manually.
would be a nightmare. 42 Sounds, they emphasize this. You got to keep that unified acoustic identity. Someone hears a sound, they know it's that brand no matter where they hear it. It's about visibility, making sure people remember the brand.
That's where this AI thing comes in, right? They're saying AI is like the answer to all of this.
AI is making audio production way more precise, way more flexible, and way more scalable. Think about it. You got this technology that can analyze all kinds of sound, create new sounds, and even personalize what you hear.
So what are some of the ways they're actually using AI for sound branding? This is where it gets really interesting, I think.
One of the coolest things is voice synthesis. Now, you can actually create brand-specific AI voices. Imagine you've got your brand's voice speaking in ads, on digital assistants, even in customer service calls.
Hold on. So instead of hiring voice actors, you could just create like a custom AI voice that embodies the brand.
Yep, exactly. And you
Wow.
can control it. You can make it sound friendly, professional, whatever fits the brand, and it can speak any language, all while keeping that same unique voice.
That's pretty wild. I mean, the possibilities are huge, right? Like imagine a brand that has a consistent voice across everything it does, every interaction.
That's the future of branding, I think. And another thing AI can do, it can organize all those audio files. Imagine you've got a huge library of sounds, music, voice recordings, everything.
That must be a nightmare to sort through, especially for big brands.
It can be, but AI can analyze all that, categorize it, make it super easy to find what you need. Like imagine you're putting together an ad and need a specific sound. Boom, AI finds it instantly.
So it's like having a super smart librarian for all your audio stuff?
Exactly. No more digging through endless folders trying to find the right sound. But there's more. AI can also automatically level, mix, and master audio.
Wait, so you're saying AI can do the work of a professional audio engineer?
In a lot of ways, yes. It can balance audio levels, optimize sound profiles, even convert files between different formats. And it does all this super fast and accurately.
So whether it's a radio ad or a tiny sound effect in an app, AI can make sure it sounds perfect no matter where it's played.
Exactly. And get this, AI can even personalize the audio experience for each person.
What, like custom soundtracks for everyone?
Kind of. It's about tailoring the audio to specific people and platforms. Think about it. You could have an app that adjusts its sound based on your mood or the time of day. That's deep personalization, and it builds loyalty because it makes the experience feel unique.
So AI is clearly a huge deal for sound branding. It's like a whole toolkit for creating and managing a brand's sound.
And 42 Sounds is definitely framing this as an investment, especially for brands that are making content in multiple languages or want that consistent sound across everything they do.
They talk about a brand sound pool, right? It's about building a collection of sounds that are unique to the brand, a kind of sonic signature.
Exactly. It's about having a consistent sound world, not just random music for each campaign. And then there's adaptive sound that's using AI to create soundscapes that, well, they react to you.
Wow, so like the sound changes based on what you're doing or even how you're feeling. That's next level stuff, isn't it?
It is. Imagine an app that sounds calming when you're relaxed and upbeat when you're energized. It's all about using sound to connect with people on a deeper emotional level.
But this brings up an important point. We're talking about sound branding, which, from what 42 Sound says, is different from just making music, right?
Absolutely. Music production is usually about the creative side,
Yeah.
coming up with a cool melody or a beat. Sound branding is strategic. It starts with understanding the brand, the audience, the context.
So it's about making sure the sound is aligned with the brand's message and values, not just making something that sounds good.
Right. 42 Sounds, they lay out a whole process. It starts with analyzing the brand and the market. Then comes the creation phase, where they actually develop the sounds and test them out. And finally, there's managing the sound, making sure it stays consistent and relevant over time.
So it's like any branding process, but focused on sound. And they talk about different elements of a brand's sound, right? Like the sound logo, the brand voice, the music they use.
Yep, and sound design, too, like the sounds you hear in a user interface. All those little details contribute to the overall sonic identity of a brand.
And they make a good point about how a brand's sound can't just stay the same forever. It needs to adapt and evolve, right?
Definitely. Think about it. Sound trends change, brands change, the world changes. If a brand's sound stays the same for too long, it can start to feel outdated and irrelevant.
So you need to keep tweaking and updating the sound to make sure it stays fresh and aligned with the brand. What kind of services do they offer for that?
They do sound identity audits to see how well a brand's sound is working. They hold workshops and consult with brands to help them understand how to use sound effectively. They even help develop sound guidelines for brands, basically, rules for how to use their sonic elements.
That makes sense. You need a plan for managing your sound, just like you need a plan for managing your visual identity. And speaking of people who know about sound, let's talk about the guy behind 42 Sounds, Gross-Fengels. Sounds like he's a bit of a sound guru, right?
He is, over 20 years of experience, worked with huge brands like BMW, McDonald's, Siemens, Bosch. He's not just making music, he's helping to define what these brands sound like.
It's interesting that he's also worked on sounds for medical devices. That's a whole different world, right?
It is, but it shows how important sound is, even in areas you wouldn't expect. Think about it. The sounds a medical device makes can be crucial for safety and functionality.
So he's not just about marketing, he's about using sound in a thoughtful way, no matter the context. And he's got awards too, right? Like the Red Dot Design Award?
Yeah, and the Better Sound Awards. Plus, he gives talks, writes books. He's definitely a leading voice in the world of sound branding. And it sounds like his goal is to use AI and his knowledge of sound to create something truly new and innovative.
They talk about him wanting to develop sonic solutions for the digital age. It's clear that technology is changing everything about how we experience sound.
Exactly. He's not just trying to do the same old things with new tech. He's trying to reimagine what sound branding can be in this digital world.
Well, I think we've covered a lot of ground today. It's clear that sound is a much bigger deal in branding than many people realize. And with AI, things are about to get even more interesting.
For sure. Sound is powerful, it connects with us on a deep level, and it's only becoming more important as branding gets more complex and sophisticated.
So our final thought for you, the listener. Take a moment to think about the brands you interact with every day. What do they sound like? Does their sound make you feel something? Does it make them stand out?
Sound is everywhere. It's shaping our experiences whether we realize it or not. So pay attention to it. You might be surprised by what you discover.
And if you're curious about what 42 Sounds is doing with all this AI sound stuff, you can reach out to them directly. Their email is hello@42sounds.de. Phone number is +49 170 527 9546, and they're even on WhatsApp.
Thanks for joining us for this deep dive. We'll catch you next time.